Hey friend, welcome to the Branding with Jade podcast. I'm Jade, also known as the Aussie Adventuress, and I left the high-flying corporate world to chase my dreams and build an online business. Now, my biggest passion is teaching you how to get paid to be yourself doing what you love. If you want my secrets on all things personal branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, and making money doing what you love, then lovely, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to episode 32 of the Branding with Jade podcast. Now, I know it's been a little minute since I've done an episode, and to be honest, I just wasn't feeling in the zone the last few weeks, and I don't believe in creating content just for the sake of creating content. I don't believe in doing things that feel forced or that you have to do them. I really, truly am leaning into doing things that feel aligned and good, and that's pretty much what this episode is going to be about. It's going to be about honoring yourself, about my new mantra, which is your business, your life, your rules. And this is really what I'm leaning into a lot in my business. I've been working with a one-on-one coach, and I have also started a group coaching program with about 20 amazing, beautiful ladies. And we are really unraveling and letting go and surrendering and just making magic happen. So I really wanted to clear my energy first and show up on this podcast with the right intention and really come into this letting go of all my previous beliefs around what this podcast had to be, what kind of content I have to create, and forcing things. So the first thing I want to let you know is this is still going to be about personal branding. That's the thing I love to talk about. That's what I'm going to be teaching you about. And I have lots of fresh ideas about things I'm going to talk about in the coming weeks. But I also want to tell you that I'm going to release the pressure on myself. So something that I have been feeling pressure around is this need to show up every single week, because I made that commitment that I was going to do a weekly podcast. And sometimes when you're one person running your business, it does get hectic. And when I've decided that I now want to offer one-to-one coaching services, I want to include all of these new things into my business, I really had to look at what is actually, where am I best used spending my time? Because that was a big concern of mine, is am I going to burn myself out? And I've been in a position in my life before with my corporate job and then with my second affiliate business where I did get to burnout. And so a real big thing for me now is being conscious and being aware and taking action to ensure I look after myself first. And this is something I want to encourage all of you to do as well. You put yourself first. You get to be your priority, because when you show up from a space of feeling like you're running on empty and you're pleasing everybody else and you're putting everybody else first but yourself, then you start to show up from, and I can only speak from my experience, but you start to show up from a different place. You show up from a place of resentment and I have to do this, I should be doing this, rather than a place of I get to do this, I love doing this, I feel fulfilled doing this. Because when you take time to fill up your happy cup and to feel good about yourself, then you're putting more intentional energy into what you do. And I want to make sure that the content that I'm creating for you is intentional and is good value. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to continue to show up weekly, because most of the time I am inspired and I have so much content coming out of my ears and I want to show up weekly. But releasing that pressure and that need to show up weekly allows me to show up with intention and with the right energy so that I'm creating content that feels really valuable and really good to put out. because sometimes my boyfriend does come home and I don't feel like, and I don't want to feel that pressure that I have to record an episode before he gets home, because that's what I was doing to myself before. I was trying to batch and do things that didn't feel energetically right for me. And I'm just going to also put out that this episode is in no way planned, and there's no script. There's like literally 2 words that I've written down that I want to talk about: routines and letting go of the people pleaser. So this is totally me off the cuff, just feeling inspired and called to share what's coming up for me, because I do feel, as much as this is me still leaning into the people pleaser, I do feel like I kind of owe people an explanation for where I've been the past few weeks, because I just didn't show up. And I did feel like, oh, like what are people going to be thinking? Are they going to be wondering where I am, why I'm not here, what is coming up? And I didn't want to force myself to do an episode when I wasn't in the right space to do it. And I'm sure everybody would understand this as well, because this has been a collective heavy energy. There's been so much stuff going on in the world, and so much heavy energy, especially in the last few weeks, as we've been uncovering layers and layers of things that have been uncomfortable for us to face in our lives and in what's going on in the world. And so I had to clear all that, and it's in no way all dealt with and cleared, but I feel like I am ready to show up again, and I feel like myself, and like I know what I want to talk about, and I've got that sense of direction again, because the last few weeks I was allowing so much external noise to just seep into my mind and distract me, and I just really didn't know how to show up. And so I want to be honest and truthful about that with you, because with everything that was going on in the world, I just didn't have the space to create my content like I would usually do. I'm sorry, my cat's meowing in the background because it's nighttime and he wants to go outside, but usually I'd record this during the day, but I was just feeling super inspired now, and I just wanted to get this out and into an episode to share from an inspired state, because like I'm saying, I want to do what feels good and in flow and aligned. And this is something I'm going to be talking about a lot more in my content from now on, is trusting in yourself and leaning into your intuition and learning things that will help you to do this. Because when it comes to building a personal brand, it's you. And if you don't feel aligned with you, if you don't feel good about what you're sharing, and if there's a disconnect because you're trying to please other people, or you're showing up because you feel like you have to and not because you want to, then that's going to come across. And if you're not being true to yourself because you're scared to show your true self, or you're scared that if you share what's really coming up, people will judge you and they won't like you and they won't want to work with you, then that's just holding back your truth, and that's not centered, that's not aligned. And so what I really want to teach you, and what I really want to share with you, is how to get into that space of alignment, how to trust yourself, how to follow your heart and your intuition, and really get to know your soul's purpose. And that can be a constantly evolving and flowing thing, and that's okay. And I want you to get comfortable with that. I want you to get confident in trusting yourself and really believing that you are doing the right thing by yourself and honoring yourself. And this is something that I have been especially doing in the last few weeks, where I really took a step back from being on social media and just getting straight into work. Because my routine in the past was just get up and just get straight on my phone and get straight into scrolling. And in the past, I've really struggled with morning routines because I've never been able to switch my mind off. And I'd be trying to do a morning routine, but I'd still have in the back of my mind this feeling of guilt, like, oh, there's people that I need to message, there's emails I need to reply to, there's things I need to do, because I was constantly wanting to please everybody else, and I wasn't thinking about my own needs and making myself feel good. But recently, two coaches that I work with have both reiterated to me that taking care of yourself, that having a powerful morning routine, that is counted as work, because your job is to look after yourself. If you're going to be able to serve people in the best possible way, if you're going to be able to create powerful content, if you're going to be able to show up in true integrity and alignment and build a magnetic, powerful personal brand, then the first thing you need to do is take care of yourself. And that's not being selfish. That is just doing the best to serve everybody. It's actually better for everybody if you take care of yourself, because then you're giving them a much better energy. You're coming to them with an aligned, excited, joyful, fulfilled energy, rather than a tired, drained, lethargic energy where you resent what you have to do and you don't really feel aligned and you don't feel in flow. So it's really important to take care of yourself. And now I'm not saying that everyone's morning routine has to look the same. It's up to you to find what works for you. And this is why it's taken me so long to get into this habit, because everything I tried in the past just didn't work, because I was doing what people were telling me to do rather than finding what felt good for me. So what I have recently done, and you might find that something like this works for you, you might not. But what I've recently done is I use the Insight Timer app. So I listen to a morning ritual meditation on there. That's while I'm still in bed. Now I don't set an alarm at all. I wake up naturally, and it's usually while it's still dark, because we're heading into winter in Australia now. So usually I wake up between 4 and 5 a.m. Because it's darker now, I am waking up a bit later, between 5 a.m. So I wake up, I do that meditation in bed, I read some chapters from my books until it gets a bit light, I write in my gratitude journal, I go for my beach walk, stop at my cafe to get a coffee, walk home, dance for a little bit, because that makes me feel really embodied and in flow, and it gets my creative juices flowing. And then I journal, have my breakfast, have a shower, get myself ready for the day. And only after that do I turn my laptop on. Now, while I'm out and about enjoying my morning routine, I will share some things to my Instagram stories. I'm sure if you follow me there, you would see that. But what I make sure I don't do is I do not open my DMs. I do not open my emails. I do not look at my feed, because that's when my creativity just gets zapped. My mind goes into comparison mode. My mind starts thinking about, oh, I have to respond to this message. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. And that's when I lose my creative flow. So I make sure that I don't let anybody else's stuff come into my space until I'm ready to allow it in. So when I turn my laptop on, I don't go straight into responding to messages and emails and checking my feed. I go into my creative zone. I'll send out an email, like a marketing email to my email list. I will work on my content. I will work on funnels or webinars or course stuff, whatever I want to work on. And then after I've done all that, then I connect with other people. I'll show up in my Facebook group. Sometimes you'll see me in my Facebook group in the morning when I'm feeling inspired. Sometimes there's exceptions, but I won't reply to comments and that kind of stuff. And I'll do all the emails and DMs and that kind of stuff later, once I've allowed all my creative stuff to get done, because that's how I make sure I protect my creative energy and I make sure that I can show up inspired. Now, that doesn't mean that later on in the day I won't be inspired. Like, I'm recording this episode at 7:30 p.m. because I just got off a really epic call with my coach and I got super inspired, because something she said to me was, your people pleaser has to die. And that's what inspired this episode. That's what inspired me to go on a big rant in my, not rant, but a rambling story on my Instagram, it was meant to be like one story and then it just went on and on and on. But that's what happens when you're inspired and aligned and in flow. So that's what I want to teach you to do. I want to teach you how to drop the rules, drop the expectations, stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. Nothing is that urgent. No DM or message or email is that urgent that it can't wait for you to feel ready to get to it. You get to put yourself first. It's your business, it's your life, it's your rules. And when you set these boundaries and expectations with people, that's how you get to create the business that you love. That's how you get to create the life that you love. That's how you get to live a fulfilled and aligned life. That's how you create an aligned, intuitive, soulful, powerful personal brand, because you're living your truth, you're following your intuition and your heart, and you're trusting in yourself. So that is what I am really going to help to support people with from now on. That is what I have been learning and leaning into, and as I learn and grow, you come on the journey with me. That's what this podcast is all about. It's a journey together through growth, through building a personal brand, through me inspiring you and educating you on what I know. And there's a lot of things that I have learned in recent weeks as well. I have experienced so much deeper things that I've never ever imagined. Like, I did a past life regression session. I can't remember if I've spoken to you. I don't believe I've spoken to you since then. So that's something I really want to talk to you about, because that was intense but amazing. And that's why I've had all these things coming up over the past few weeks that I had to work through. And something else that I've learned recently is I used to prescribe to the idea that in order to succeed in business, you had to be all positive and sunshine and roses and light and love. But what I have learned, especially in the past few weeks with everything that's going on in the world, is that we have to face our shadow. We have to heal our trauma. We have to really go deep and go within and uncover the messy stuff and deal with that stuff and go through the unraveling and die these depths of things that don't serve us, so that we can show up in our truest expression of ourselves, and so that we can really be the magical beings we're meant to be, because your message deserves to be heard. The mess that you've gone through, the pain that you've felt, the discomfort that you feel, that's all stuff that people want to hear about, because that's what people connect with. They don't connect with the perfect stuff. When they see perfect, they question it, because they think, well, how is it so perfect? Surely that there's something that they're not telling us. And so they don't, it builds this barrier. Whereas when you get a bit more vulnerable and you share your experiences and what you're working through and how you're working through it, and it doesn't have to be as you're doing it, it can be once you've dealt with it and what you've learned from it. Like, I had this experience a few weeks ago. I've had time to sit with it. Now I can share this with you because I'm looking at it from a clear perspective of what it's done for me. That's the kind of stuff that people want to know. So, like I said, this episode was not planned. It was just me speaking from the heart, speaking from alignment. And really what I want you to get from this episode is that you don't have to please anybody else. You can let the people pleaser die. This is a decision that I have declared tonight to myself, because this is what my coaches have told me. That is it's holding me back, because I have made this whole story up around what that means, because in the past I haven't shown up to my full capacity because I've been worried about what other people would think. I've been worried about offending people or upsetting people or saying the wrong thing or not following up with people in a timely enough manner. And so as I unravel this, I want to encourage you to look at, do you have people-pleasing tendencies? Are those things holding you back from achieving what you desire as well? How can you break free from that? does it look like having a morning routine and not getting on social media first thing? Journal on it. Do what feels good for you. How is people pleasing holding you back? And what can you do to overcome that? Another thing that really stuck with me recently was I just finished reading the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle, and the cover says stop pleasing, I think it's stop pleasing, start doing something, or start living something. It's something about stop pleasing though, and that was in my mind already, that I need to stop being a people pleaser. And so it was already coming up for me, but to have other people notice it and reiterate it to me made me feel uncomfortable, because they were calling me out, but it also made me think, you know what? It's true. I need to take action on this. I need to do something about this if I'm going to be true to myself. And so maybe that looks like something you need to do as well. Maybe it's this episode that gets you to think, oh, you know what? I am a people pleaser. How is that holding me back? Where can I make changes as well, so that I get to push forward in my life and my business too? Because I deserve to have everything I want, and it does get to be easy for me. And I'm saying this in terms of you as well. You deserve to have what you want. It does get to be easy for you. You get to call the shots, because it's your life. So when you get clear on that, when you tell yourself that it's your life, your business, your rules, you open up all these doors to new possibilities. And that's what building a brand is all about. It's all about taking people on this journey with you. It's all about being yourself, being true to yourself, sharing your truth, and not worrying what others think, not hiding behind the fear of trying to please everyone else but yourself. This is your life, your brand. You get to say what you want to say, and you can change your mind. Like, over the last few weeks with all that's going on, I've had to learn new things. I've said the wrong things, and then I've backtracked on what I said, and then it's messy, and that's okay. In the mess, we grow. In the unraveling, new things are born, and we get to create absolute magic from that mess. So live it, embrace it, share it, and grow, and take people on the journey with you, because the journey is the most important part. The destination is just that. It's a destination. It's the journey that matters. That's what people want to know about. So I'm going to end that there. I feel like I have said a lot of stuff. I don't really know what just happened. I was just going with the flow, and it felt really good. So I hope it sounds good to you. I hope it actually hits a chord and inspires you in some way. And I look forward to showing up for you in a more aligned way. Like, because I've decided not to be a people pleaser doesn't mean that I'm still not going to hold myself to high integrity and high value, and ensure that I show up with high value. It's going to mean that I do what I need to do to take care of myself, so that I can show up and provide even better value for you. So it's not coming from a place of being forced. So it's coming from a place of me being in total alignment and totally committed to sharing really good quality stuff with you. So I have so much stuff I want to share with you. I know some people have asked me about content. That is definitely coming. I do have a plan to talk to you about my whole entire method of creating content, which, by the way, these days there isn't really a method. It's just what's in flow. But I'm going to teach you how I get in flow. I'm going to teach you how to trust in yourself and really show up from that space of total alignment and create content that feels good and content that doesn't feel forced. So I do intend to spend a lot of time teaching you about content, and I'm putting this out there because I committed this to my coach, and if I say it to you guys as well, then I'll definitely do it. I am going to release a masterclass in a few weeks. Freddie's home this week, so it'll probably be a few weeks away because I'll spend some time with him. But I am going to release an actual masterclass on how to create epic, beautiful content with ease and grace. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If content is something that you really do want to learn about, that is coming. So you'll see it all over Instagram, and I'll talk about it in here when I am doing it. But that is definitely coming. So on that note, I'm going to finish up here, and I look forward to seeing you with lots more valuable content over the coming weeks and months. Thank you ever so much for continuing to be here and trust in me and follow me on this journey. I really do appreciate and value every single person that tunes in and listens to me, and I really look forward to helping you all create magical brands, businesses, and lives. Have a magical day, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.